Welcome in everybody to the Off-Platform Sports Podcast. My name is Regis Foss. I am your host and owner of this podcast. We're going to be doing a first round, 2025 NFL mock draft. I think the order that this site has, I'm on Walk the Mock. I think the order is the odds, like Super Bowl odds, working its way down because I don't think it's by record. At least I don't think so, because I don't think the Dolphins are the worst team in the league, are they? Regardless, this is the order that this site has, and there's no way to change it. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna get a little comfortable. I'm gonna make some 32 picks for all 32 NFL teams, and we're gonna start here with the Miami Dolphins on the clock. They haven't really been able to have somebody in place after Christian Wilkins went to the Raiders. D-line's been a big issue for them for the last couple years now. And honestly, with the quarterbacks usually going in the first so many picks, this year's class is not that strong as it was last year. There isn't a sole number one quarterback consensus pick right now. It's kind of up in the air. Anybody could grab it. So I think there's going to be a lot of defensive players that go early. You're probably going to see some quarterbacks go, though, because they always get pushed up the board, as we know, because of the position. Just every year, somebody takes a flyer on one of these guys early, especially the needy teams. When you look at the Panthers, if they decide to move away from Bryce Young, picking at 4. Giants, if they finally get off of Daniel Jones, picking at 5. There goes my ESPN alerts. Looks like the Ravens-Bucks game just started, so I'm probably going to tune into that as soon as I finish up here. Browns could obviously go for one. Deshaun Watson, never was really a fan of the guy. Then you add in, the legal stuff, and plus the fact that he just sucks at football. The Browns definitely, but what other team would it be that deals with this kind of stuff? The Browns forever have had the worst quarterback luck. Doesn't matter who they pick, doesn't matter who they sign, doesn't matter who they trade for. They just always suck. Okay, so let's get this thing kicked off. Like I was saying before, I think defensive players are going to go first in this draft, and quarterbacks are going to fall a little bit. With that case, Dolphins. Don't know if Tua's coming back. Could be a quarterback, but I think Tua is going to come back, and they're going to stick and pick here with Mason Graham at the first overall player off the board because they need D-line help badly. Could have been Will Johnson, Travis Hunter. You could have went with that. You could have used a corner as well, but that's what we're going for with the first pick. Second pick, got the Patriots on the clock. They've been looking for offensive tackle for a while. Definitely need offensive line help, especially if you're going to protect Drake May, your future guy. Could use receiver, but they did, address that in last year's draft. Maybe not high, capital picks on wide receiver, but they got Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. Those guys could still, pan out to be number 1, number 2 wide receivers. So in this case, we're going to fade the Travis Hunter train, even though, you can always add a corner. But I think Travis Hunter is going to end up being a wide receiver in the NFL because they make more money than corners do. And let's be honest, people want to go for the money if they have a choice at it, right? So I think that's what's going to end up happening with Travis Hunter. But in this case, I'm going to go with my tackle 1 currently right now. Still only halfway through the season, the college season. Everything's going to change 100%. I haven't really gone through and done any of my rankings yet, but this is just players that I know that I feel comfortable taking right now. And Kelvin Banks out of Texas, left tackle for the Patriots there. Jaguars up at 3. I'm not doing any trades in this either because it's so early that it doesn't really matter anyways. We're just going to rock it through the 32. Jaguars on the clock. Here's a situation where, they could use corner. They could use another wide receiver technically. You have Brian Thomas Jr., who you just drafted. You got Christian, what's his name? Oh, God. Why am I having a Christian Kirk. There it is. I always have these little mind blanks and stuff like that when I make these videos, but it happens with everybody. What are you going to do? Christian Kirk. Yeah, he obviously plays out of the slot. You got Brian Thomas on the one outside. I mean, after losing Calvin Ridley, if you really want to call it that, to the Titans, they could use another wide receiver with Travis Hunter here. So you could either go, you could go with Travis Hunter. He could play corner. He could play wide receiver, whichever one you need, because you technically could use both. But I just think, for whatever reason, I just think you just go with, like I would say Will Johnson is the best corner in this class. Travis Hunter could be a wide receiver, could be a corner. We don't really know yet. Does pretty well at both. I think the lockdown guy of this class is Will Johnson out of Michigan. So I'm going to take him for the Jaguars because they do need to shore up the defense because they get shredded. Their offense is okay. ETN's looked pretty bad this year, but Tank Bigsby filled in nicely. I just think they need to be able to stop teams through the air. They've been struggling with that for a while. Need somebody opposite Tyson Campbell for sure. So Jaguars go Will Johnson at 3. Now you got the Panthers up. Here's a spot where you could go quarterback. I just think that they're pulling the plug. I'm not saying that I think Bryce Young is anywhere, by any means like a great quarterback, but right, he's young. They're trying to get him some weapons. Haven't really succeeded with that. They took Jonathan Brooks last year, running back. He hasn't seen the field yet. Bryce Young gets benched. Andy Dalton comes in. They actually looked pretty decent with Andy at the beginning. He added a little bit of a spark, but now he's tailing off, so Bryce Young is going to be back starting again. I just think maybe you just give him at least another year to see what you have and add some weapons around him to make this team better, which is why I'm going to stick and pick with Travis Hunter here at 4 because they need another wide receiver. Xavier. Hi, Baba. Oh, I gotta love when my kids interrupt my videos. Hey. What, puppy? Yeah, footballs. I love you. Okay, I'm making a video. You gotta go to bed. Okay? Okay. Go ahead. Go to bed. Come on, buddy. Go to bed. Go ahead. Beckham, go to bed. I love you. Okay. Bye-bye. You're so cute. I can't stand it. Close the door. Alright, sorry for that hiccup there. Probably going to leave that in the video just because. But anyways, Travis Hunter going to the Panthers here at the 4th pick because you could use either corner or wide receiver. Obviously, I think they're going to use him at wide receiver. You need that alpha in the room. Xavier Legette, which they just took last year, hasn't seen the field too much. And then when he did, he was like, okay. You just need that spark out there on the outside. So we're taking Travis Hunter there. New York Giants. I don't know what's the deal here. Are we going to keep riding this Daniel Jones train? I mean, I know they don't want to. But when you have players like, Teteroa McMillan staring you in the face, you just grabbed Malik Neighbors this past year. Got that alpha dog number 1. I mean, what kind of a number 2 would McMillan be, honestly? But I still think this is where the first quarterback comes off the board for me because I don't have faith in him. I really just don't. So with that being said, I'm not high on Carson Beck this year. And even last year, he had a good season. He was the consensus number 1. Same thing kind of happened with Drake May, right? The year prior, he was awesome, lost his weapons, became mediocre. I wasn't really high on Drake May either. My number 1 quarterback last year that I had graded was Jaden Daniels, and I appear to be correct on that statement. Never was a Caleb Williams fan, but he's doing okay. But Jaden Daniels is currently right now the best rookie quarterback this year. But yeah, I'm not high on Shedeur Sanders either. Probably most pro ready, but I think he has the lowest ceiling out of all these guys. So I'm going to take, probably no surprise to anybody, I'm going to go Cam Ward out of Miami. I just think, big arm. He's mobile in the pocket, a little erratic at times, but that's the way the league is going, right? We're going towards guys with big arms, bombs down the field, can layer the ball. Yeah, you got to clean up some stuff thrown into some trouble, but you got the wheels to get out of the pocket. He's pretty much the full package except for a couple mental things and a little raw. And with some work, he could be pretty good. So now we got the Browns up and probably going to do the same thing because quarterbacks we know get pushed up the board. Browns, Deshaun Watson out for the year. Plus he sucks. We've already talked about all this. And I think number 2 quarterback's kind of similar to Cam Ward in a way. I just think, he has the mobile ability for sure. Nice deep ball. His short to intermediate routes are a little bit, need some work. I would say a little bit worse off than Cam Ward when it comes to that. But still making plays, still plays for one of the best colleges in the United States. I think Jalen Milroe is going to go here to the Browns, and he's a player that you could hit big on, but if he fails, he just failed because he went to the Browns. Let's be real. Okay. All right, pick number 7. Got the Tennessee Titans on the board. They could be doing the same thing, to be honest with you. Will Levis, he's already been benched for Mason Rudolph at this point. Mason Rudolph didn't really even look that great. They could take a shot on a quarterback. Maybe they stick with Levis maybe one more year. Could get somebody like Tenero McMillan. They need that wide receiver. Could get some more. They've been need an offensive line. They've addressed it to a certain standpoint, but they still need another tackle. I don't know. I think maybe you just take your shot on whichever quarterback that you like. And I could see the Titans being the team that pulls the trigger on. This past game against Georgia, I will say it did not go too well for Quinn Ewers. They were switching in and out of quarterbacks between Archie Manning and Quinn. Carson Beck looked good enough. I don't know. Maybe you just go Shedeur here, but the Titans don't strike me as the type to go with Shedeur. I don't know why, but I don't know. I just feel like they would like one of these other guys a little bit better. So just because of the Texas-Georgia game, I did have Quinn Ewers higher than Carson Beck. I'm sticking to my guns. Quinn Ewers, I think he's a better quarterback. That was just a really bad game. But I think Quinn Ewers is the better quarterback than Carson Beck personally. And for whatever reason, I'm not saying too early because I'll give my rankings after we've have all the stuff in front of us to really evaluate these guys. But typically with quarterbacks, I'm pretty good at nailing who's good and who's not. I think Quinn has a little bit of that it factor. He just didn't show it this last game. Just coming off of an injury too. I'll give him a break on that one. Cardinals up at 8. They've been needing, defensive line edge. They still need to add to that department badly. Their pass rush is pretty much non-existent. And because of that reason, I'm going to go with my number 1 edge rusher in this class, in my personal opinion, Abdul Carter out of Penn State. He's going to be the first edge taken off the board here at number 8 to the Arizona Cardinals. Number 9, we got the Los Angeles Rams up. Still looking for an offensive line. Some people argue, is Will Campbell a guard? Is he a tackle? He plays tackle currently, has the short arms that everybody always talks about. Here comes my son again. Baby, you got to go to bed. Don't open them? Okay, mommy told you no. Take them back. Anyways, yeah, Will Campbell, short arms. Kind of hold on one second. Sorry about that. Will Campbell, they talk about having the short arms as a tackle. It's what everybody looks at when it comes to draft evaluations. Some guys can do it, some can't. It really just depends, but I feel like, at the worst, they have a high caliber guard in their hands if they take him here, or you just pass on that and you go for a different tackle here. But there's not particularly any one of them that I would take at 9 here, so they could use corner as well, and I think I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame here at pick 9. Get arguably the second best corner in the draft because we are considering Travis Hunter a wide receiver right now. After Jalen Ramsey left the Rams, still looking for that lockdown guy. They could use somebody like Benjamin Morrison, not having the greatest year so far, but he's been excellent before, so could just be having a couple bad weeks. That's all. Raiders up here. They're a quarterback. They got to go quarterback. You can't continue to ride this Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell train. So with that being the case, I feel like the Raiders would be a team to take the shot on Shedeur Sanders. I'm not high on Shedeur, but the Raiders are similar to the Browns, where they just love effing up. And I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is going to be an F up, but if he were to be one, that's the team that would probably select him. Let's be honest. All right, so now we got the Denver Broncos on the clock. I still think you need to add to the wide receiver room here. We got, Mims is kind of like a smaller guy. Cortland Sutton, I don't know if he's going to be around next year. He's your big jump ball target kind of guy. They let Judy go. Still kind of trying to fill that hole there. Their other needs are corner and interior offensive line, which corner has been hit a couple times. Interior offensive line is probably too early to take somebody like that. So we're going to go with Tetairoa McMillan here at 11. Just in case Cortland Sutton, being a free agent next year, maybe he leaves the team. You just plug in McMillan right there. He's another tall outside X-wide receiver that can go up and catch it. And then if Sutton sticks around, then you got two big boys on the outside. So, here we go. Number 12, Chicago Bears. They're another team that's been needing some pass rush. Could use it from either the middle of the defensive line or the edge. Doesn't make a difference here. So I would just go with BPA for those positions. James Pierce, I do like him. He's kind of like an explosive edge, more so than like a power rusher. Some speed off the edge. Maybe they could use somebody like him. Or maybe you go with somebody like Michael Williams out of Georgia. Played defensive interior line for you. Deion Walker, big nose tackle type player. Clogging the run. Same thing with Kenneth Grant. Any one of these guys I'm okay with, but that edge position really standing out to me. I think we just go with James Pierce. Get some juice. Juice coming off the edge there for the Bears. Now we got the Bengals here at 13. They always need defensive back help. That's just kind of that's what they do. They definitely needed some interior defensive line help, but they got some of their guys back from injury, and they don't look super bad in that department. But you could still use, regardless, some sort of defensive line help, whether it's edge or defensive interior. So I'm going to give them the edge this time around because it seems like Trey Hendrickson's the only one to get into the passer half the time. We're going to go with Nick Scorton here out of Texas A&M. He's having a pretty good year. He looks solid. We're going to take him at 13. All right, now you got the Chargers up here. Might be a little bit early to pull this trigger, but I think I'm just going to do it. I'm going Colston Loveland at tight end. The Chargers need a tight end pretty badly. Jim Harbaugh's scheme features a tight end. This is his Michigan kid tight end. The storylines, they always seem to match up. Maybe a little early for the first tight end taken off the board, but maybe, Harbaugh goes and gets his guy there, and they love running an offense through the tight end. In Michigan, they did And you got Will Dissly right now as your starting tight end, so you might as well add to that room, and he gets his guy here. As much as this pains me, it's probably going to happen unless he goes way earlier. But could have gone to the Raiders possibly, but these teams that need quarterbacks, could have went to the Browns. They need quarterback. But Ashton Jeanty, he's probably going in the top 10. I just don't know where to fit him if you need to take a quarterback, because all the teams that could use Ashton Jeanty at running back right now, and I know people don't like taking running backs in the first round, but this guy, already over 1,000 yards halfway through the season, he's crushing it for Boise State. He's going to probably go in the top 10. He's going to be like a Bijan type player where he goes top 10. But in this case, he falls. The Cowboys have nobody at running back. It's the easiest pick that I'm going to make here in this 32. Ashton Jeanty going to the Cowboys. All right, Colts up at 16. It's got to be DB or safety. Has to. Denzel Burke hasn't looked that great lately. Siobhan Revell, I think he has a knee issue. Tacario Davis, not sure if I'm taking him this high. So in that case, I think Malachi Starks is actually, like, if you're talking talent-wise, is probably a top 10, maybe even top 5 pick of this draft. They do need safety, so I'm going to slot in Malachi Starks out of Georgia here for the Colts. Linebacker. Seahawks up. Yes, they do need a linebacker. But Seahawks are up here on the clock. They could be a team that maybe takes a shot at Carson Beck. You have Geno Smith. He's obviously done well for you, but how many more years does he have left in the tank? You're going to need a successor at some point. I know they have Sam Howell on the roster as a young backup that maybe could revitalize his career. So, with that being the case, I think they need to address the offensive line a little bit more. Could use DBs, but I don't know if there's any I want to take here at 17. So we're just going to go with Will Campbell here, and I'm going to use him as a guard because they do need a guard. Will Campbell should have never fell this far. And maybe the short arms is the reason why maybe in the real draft he does fall this far. But if you use him at guard, Seahawks need a guard. One of the best offensive linemen in this draft. Plug and play at guard. There you go. Seahawks 17, Will Campbell. Atlanta Falcons are up at 18. Still think you should add maybe another wide receiver to that room with Drake London and Darnell Mooney. But, they've always needed defensive linebacker. It's like what they always need every single draft because they usually take some kind of offensive weapon. They've taken Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. They went Michael Penix to just sit on the bench with the 8th pick last year to just sit. Makes no fucking sense. Excuse my language. But this time they're going to go get a defensive interior player. And we're going to take Kenneth Grant out of Michigan to be a run-stuffing plugger in the center of their defense. All right, here at 19, we got the Bucks. They're also, basically defensive side of the ball. They don't really need, they're probably going to keep Baker on. He's playing great. Wide receiver-wise, they took Jalen McMillan last year. Like, they're okay there. Godwin, Evans. For me, it's either edge, which they do need to edge badly, or address the interior offensive line. Excuse me, I'm a little bit sick here, so I'm sorry for, all the sniffles and whatnot. But I'm going to actually take the edge, and even though he's listed as a linebacker on the site, Jalon Walker out of Georgia, probably should have even went higher than this. This dude is an absolute stud. If you watched any bit of the Texas game, he was in the backfield the entire game. He is an edge rusher, and he's going to the Tampa Bay Bucks here at 19. Saints are up here with the 20th pick. They could also use defensive line. This draft is big. Teams definitely need defensive line player help. whether it's edge or interior. And luckily for them, there's a lot of good ones in this class. I'm going to take Mykel Williams out of Georgia. Just plug and play defensive end there for the Saints. And what's his name's only getting older. Cam. You know who I'm talking about. The reason why I can't think of his name is because I hate him. Cam Jordan. Yeah, I just don't like the guy, but whatever. You're going to have to replace him at some point. He's getting up there in age. There you go. Okay, we got the Green Bay Packers on the clock at 21. Same thing. They need defensive line or offensive line. It's in the trenches for sure. They have ample wide receivers, even though they don't have like a top stud or anything. All their wide receivers down to Dontavian Wicks are all like definitely serviceable dudes. So they don't necessarily need to do that. They definitely could use a tackle. For me, it's between Deone Walker because he is a big nose tackle, 345 pounds, 6'6", can clog up the middle for you, or you just go with offensive tackle here. And I'm gonna rock with Ariante Ursary here for the Packers at the 21st pick. Now you got the Jets up here at 22, and their team is very good. Of course, they could add to it in many ways, but you just got Devontae Adams. Rodgers is basically at the end of his career, and Carson Beck still lingering around here. I would just pull the trigger on Carson Beck at 22. I'm okay with that. To be Aaron Rodgers' successor, play behind him 1 year, learn, and then plug and play. And, you know, everybody dogged the Green Bay Packers for doing that with Jordan Love. But let's be real. It works. I mean, it worked with Ben Roethlisberger. It worked with Tom Brady. I mean, everybody sat, like, if you think about, like, in the past, I know times are different and guys usually start right away. But in the past, you came in, you sat behind a vet. The next year you come in, you had the time to learn the playbook. You got, to pick your vet's brain and shit, and you come out and you're balling. I mean, it is a recipe for success, even though people don't like to hear it because they want to see their new fancy toy out there on the field immediately. And I happen to agree a little bit. But when you have the chance to do it, it does work. So that's what we're going to do with the Jets there at 22. 23, got the Eagles up. All I feel like they've been doing is just building the trenches. And every single year it seems that they just need more trenches. Which is crazy to me. But, I don't know. Walter Nolan's having a hell of a year so far. I do like him. I don't know if I want him here at 23. These wide receivers are going to need to find a home soon, which I think I know a couple teams coming up that are going to need one. But in this case, I'm going to go with Deone Walker, nose tackle for the Eagles. Plug up the center, plug up the run. There you go. Washington Commanders on the clock. I don't know. They could use a couple different things. They need offensive line. They need like some defensive back help a little bit. Could use edge too. They basically for them. I feel like for me it's just like best available. And you could argue that they need a wide receiver. De'Ami Brown hasn't looked too bad. You got McLaurin. Luke McCaffrey I think is a serviceable guy. To be honest, as much as I'd like Luther Burden on the Steelers, he's probably going to go if I it's just best player available right here at 24. I don't think you could pass on him. So Luther Burden, there you go, right to the Commanders. Steelers going to be in the same boat. They also need a wide receiver. You've got the tall George Pickens on the one side. You already kind of have a slot wide receiver in Roman Wilson if he ends up panning out, or Calvin Austin. You need that other outside guy. And the sad thing is Isaiah Bond and Emeka Egbuka are kind of outside guys. Egbuka can play, inside guys, like slot guys. Ibuka can play on the outside, and so can Bond. They're just, Ibuka's probably the size you want if you want an outside guy. But Bond is such an explosive playmaker. 5'11", though. A little bit smaller, but hey, you made that work with, Deontay Johnson. The dude just couldn't catch the ball. If Deontay Johnson could catch the ball, he's uncoverable. And I personally happen to like Isaiah Bond a little bit more than Ibuka just based on talent. So I'm going to pull the trigger here. I'm going to go Isaiah Bond to the Steelers. And they'll find a way to use him. All right. Houston Texans up. Could use defensive line. D'Amico Ryans just loves the defense, and that's all of their needs right now. I mean, look how good their offense is. They just need defense, defense, defense. Like I said, Denzel Burke hasn't looked great. Siobhan Ravel has a knee, but he looks great, besides the knee injury. So does the knee injury push him down the board? Could. Tacario Davis, is he a first-round pick? Could sneak in. I don't know. One person I know that is a first-round pick, though, is Tyleik Williams. And if you need defensive interior help, we're going with Tyleik Williams there out of Ohio State. San Francisco 49ers, always needing offensive line because they can't protect Brock Purdy. So we're going to rock with one. Let's see what we want to do. Emory Jones hasn't played super great for being this high up on the board here. Josh Simmons is a guy, though, that has been playing out of his mind. And he's looked really good at tackle. He was definitely going to probably get pushed up the board. And I'm going to take him here at 27 for the San Francisco 49ers just because I personally wouldn't take Emory Jones over him right now just based upon how they've played. So that's what I'm going with. That's what they need. Moving on. Ravens at 28. This is where you could see Emeka Egbuka go, which I'm just going to do it. They need wide receiver. Always have. Rashad Bateman. Don't know if he's sticking around. You already have Zay Flowers, which is great. You need to keep adding to that room because I think they took Devontae Walker last year. I haven't even seen him play a game. And I know they don't throw the ball a ton, but you still got to have playmakers there. You do. I mean, Zay Flowers is literally the only one catching the ball besides their tight ends. I mean, at the wide receiver position. He's the only one catching the ball for the Ravens right now. All right, 29 Detroit Lions on the board. They could use an edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Jack Sawyer, you know what? I'm going with him here. I feel like he just fits. He fits the Dan Campbell mold, okay? And he's he might not be the most explosive guy. He might not be the best athlete, but Jack Sawyer is just consistent pass rush. So I like him there, and I think he fits the scheme a lot for the Lions. Getting close to the end here, we got the Vikings up at 30. They also need offensive line. They could use guard, so in that case, I think Jonah Savanea is the best guard besides if you move Will Campbell to a guard, which we did. So this would be basically the second guard coming off. But if you consider Will Campbell a tackle, it would be the first guard coming off, right? And it's okay to do that towards the back end of the first round. I just never take guards, obviously, with a super high pick. But here we are at 30. I'm going to take him there for the Vikings to protect either, I guess, Sam Darnold, the way he's been playing this year, or when J.J. McCarthy comes back. You want to protect your franchise kid so he doesn't tear another meniscus and completely ruin my dynasty team. Okay. All right, you got the Bills up. Says here that they could use wide receiver. I mean, they just went and got Amari Cooper. I guess you could say that. Not really, because if you got Cooper on one side, you just drafted Keon Coleman last year. You have, Khalil Shakir, who is nothing to sneeze at in the slot. There's no reason really to take one, but you could use edge because Von Miller probably done after this year. I'd say hasn't looked great and he's old. So we'll go. Who do we like? just make sure that we don't got snow. Yeah, I'm just going to go with JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State. Probably one of the last edges that I would take in the first round. Probably wouldn't even really take him in the first round, but considering the need for this team, that's where he ended up falling for me right now. Chiefs up, like I said, I think Tacario Davis could sneak in the back end of the first. And I personally, right now, would take him over Denzel Burke and Siobhan Ravel Jr. I would take Ravel over Tacario Davis, except for the fact that he has the knee injury, torn ACL. Don't know if how quickly he comes back from that. But Siobhan Ravel is kind of like the, what's his name? The dude for, who'd the Eagles just take this past year? Small school kid. Can't think of his name. Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell played for a small school. As you can see, Siobhan Ravel Jr. playing for East Carolina. But he is a dog. And, Quinyon Mitchell went, I think, in the first round or early second. So, same could be said about Siobhan Ravel right here. But Tacario Davis, 6'4" corner, which is nice and tall for you. 190 pounds. Like I said, I think he could sneak in at the back end, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with the last pick. So that is all I've got for you guys tonight. Sorry for the interruptions with my kid bopping in, even though he's cute. I'm sure you like to see him. And I'm sorry that I'm sick and sound kind of nasally. But this is my first mock draft of the 2025 NFL draft season that's kind of rolling around here. I'm going to do more of these. This was just to get one out. Give you a slight idea kind of how things may fall. Like I said, this is all depending on how kids play the rest of the year. Plus, obviously, you got the combine, Senior Bowl stuff. Like, everything is going to be so different. Guys are going to be performing out of their ass and flying up draft boards. So this is nothing, but this is just a taste of what I'm going to be doing all season long. Probably try to do one of these maybe once a week. So if you like watching this kind of stuff, if you enjoy listening to me, if you like me, if you love me, tune in, give me a like, I'd appreciate it. It's not, it's not a huge ask, just a nice little click on the little thumbs up button, maybe the notification bell if you want to make sure that you see when I'm going live. But other than that, like I said, my name is Regis Foss. This is the Off-Platform Sports Podcast. And you can tune in to... I post on Twitter. Haven't posted a whole lot lately. I've been kind of sick and dealing with some things. But I'm going to get back on it here. And I post everything about NFL news, fantasy, dynasty, whatever you guys want to hear. And I also do that on Instagram as well. So just look up the Off-Platform Sports Podcast on any of those, and you can find me there. All right, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I appreciate you guys for watching if you have, and I will catch you in my next video. Thank you.